to What's in My Drawers Golf Talk, the Veterans Day edition. We're a little early, I know, but hey, it's in between. I'd rather be before than after. And so we got some news, and we're going to talk about some clubhead design, descriptions. Let's call it that. All next. Welcome back to the McGolf Shop. Jim McCleary here, and this is What's in Your Drawers, What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. And why is it What's in My Drawers? Because old golf club makers, club fitters are tremendous pack rats. And we started off this show with talking about the stuff that was in the shop in the drawers, and it's turned into an international discussion about golf fittings, golf repairs, golf opinions. And so far, it's been pretty good. So we're going to keep it going. If you guys got any things that you'd like to see or things that you'd like to talk about, put them in the show notes and we can discuss them. Or in the questions and comments, I suppose, would be it. Okay, so first and foremost, let's get this one out of the way. Robin's going to hate this one. Remember, I keep updating you on Erin being in the she was, always in the 18th fairway heading towards the clubhouse. Well, she entered the clubhouse Wednesday of last week. Now, this week was a little short for us because she had to go meet Nick across the Rainbow Bridge, and my uncle passed away as well. And so as a veteran, he was a Marine and served in Okinawa and got to climb Mount Fuji. So he was a very successful businessman, and even better still, he was a good father and a tremendous uncle. So, but as I did with Nick, I want to give you a little something about Erin. What? What? I don't have anything for you. Come on, you do this every night. Do you really want something? Really? Do you want something? Okay. So that was for Erin. She certainly will be missed. We can go over that. However, to the veterans, to my dog, salute. And I broke out for Charlie, so you know that was Macallan Terra, straight from Scotland. I bought it myself. All righty. So let's get with this thing. All righty. Some of the stuff we did in the shop, that's what we always talk about. Now, let's talk about Russell Henley winning. Not bad, right? Not bad at all. And as I was listening to some golf radio on the Senior PGA Tour worth mentioning, that one was a heck of a win. Our man from Germany carded 2 low rounds and he shot under his age in order to make that go. Quite the accomplishment. He's got one more to tie the record, and which is an astounding feat. So good for him. All righty. So what do we have? What did we send out before we left for Texas? A set of those. What are those? Those are Tura irons. I've made a set of these and mini wedges for this same golfer in Florida. And there's something about not a whole lot of mess on the back of these things. It just, obviously that's clean to be sure, but everything's is murdered, right? All the lettering that you can see on the wedges, there's just all there is a number on the ends of the irons. And I said, well, let's just keep going with that philosophy. I was going to offset them with some really crazy color, but I think the black is much, much better. We used the MMT irons, which he really, really liked. And then this time we used some Iomic grips, so it's all black. So they're all like, I mean, that's like a set of ninja blades right there. Remember last week when we talked about uh, doing a whole bunch of Wilson Staff high toes? Well, there you go. So two of them went to one golfer, and another one went to another golfer, obviously. And they all came with the Acra 90 in them. This is a specific wedge shaft for irons or for wedges, duh. And they actually work very, very well. They work really well, as a matter of fact. And I like the fact that they come in two weight classes, and there's a kind of an extreme. There's a 90 and a 130. I'd like to see one in the middle, but for what it is, it works. It works very, very well. We put some of the Win dry tacks on there. That worked out, and it was kind of funny that they both picked Win dry tack. I don't understand that one, but there's what they look like when they're far away. All righty. So that's what we got done before we left. Now this is kind of a little different. This is what we're getting ready to make. There we go. Srixon ZX7s, old school. Lefty model. Lefty model. All right, we're going to do a set of those. And to take it to the other way, we're going to do a Wishon wedge. And we were going to do an iron. This is not the one, but we're going to do a cavity back model of this variety. Now, the cool part, and this will take us into the topic before we start answering questions. Sometimes there's a lot of misinformation out there about, people, or they just don't know, which is just, okay, about how you talk about a golf club head, right? And they're very similar, whether you're talking about one that looks like this, one that looks like that, or looks like the wedge. And what you have is you have the toe. This is the toe area. You have the heel area right here. You'll have the sole. You will have a top line, right? The offset, and the offset is the difference between the leading edge of the face and the leading edge of the hosel. All right, so you can see this one doesn't have very much in it. All right, those are some, and then of course the face and the grooves. Now, there was on my Golf Spy, there was somebody asking what do grooves do. Of course, there's always going to be, they impart spin, they do this and they do that. Well, in a roundabout way, probably. But the original intention of a groove was to carry debris away from when you get ready to hit the ball. Most in particular, moisture. But if you had like a blade of grass or something, it got in that moisture, it would carry it away. And that was the idea. So if you have something like this, it has a lot of grooves, or you have something like this, that fewer grooves. Now that's the difference between a wedge, and there's another set. So everybody's got their own opinion. And when you get into grooves, you can really get pretty technical on, there is the space between the grooves is a requirement. The width of the grooves is a requirement. The depth of the groove is a requirement. The chamfer or the curvature on the top of the groove going into the groove is a requirement. What it looks like at the bottom of the groove, whether it's an M, a U, a V, a square, which they didn't like, are all these requirements that were for grooves, and that's the whole groove rule that came out. The funny part about the groove rule is they thought they were going to, because the Pro Tour was they were just throwing darts, right? They were just throwing darts, and they said we're going to change the groove rule, make it not so aggressive. It'll be fine. Within, I'm going to say, a half a dozen tournaments, they had already overcome that and actually were golfing better without all that. So that says something there too, because they weren't, a lot of them weren't spinning them off of the green. So they were still hitting them and sticking them. They just weren't pulling them back. So now there are other ones where you talk about sole width, right? You'll talk about the concavity or the radius of the radius of the sole going this way. You also talk about the depth of the cavity, the length of the blade, right? The length of the hosel, the size, the internal diameter of the hosel, which we talk about the 330, 355 or 370, which is taper or parallel. And then you can get into some specifics like center of gravity. And the center of gravity is typically in here, right about there, I'm going to say. And normally, when you see the better players, when you see those little wear marks, it's typically where it's at. Okay. In the days, if you ever get a chance to go to St. Augustine and go to the Hall of Fame, you'll see some of the older models in the 60s and 70s where this hosel was really, really long, and there was a lot of meat right here, and it drew the center of gravity in close, and you'll see all these wear marks in here because that was the best part of the club to hit them. And the better guys, my gosh, you can see them. They're about the size of a nickel, and they were hitting the golf ball like that. All right. So a couple of things. Now, GolfWorks was the first one to put out anything that talked about what a parameter could do to make a golf club be forgiving or more forgiving than, say, another parameter that was less. For instance, it will be assumed that a club that has a lot of offset is more forgiving. And that is because the average golfer has this tendency to slice or fade a golf ball, and that offset gives them that split second to go from here to there, and all of a sudden you're not slicing the club anymore because it allows you to square up the face. All right. So another one would be the length of the blade, and from here to here. And the longer the club, the more forgiving that it would be. Meaning that, again, when people were missing it, they were missing it toe side. There we go, missing it toe side. And so the longer club allowed them to bring it more towards the middle, so they got a little bit better reaction. All right, the center of gravity, the height in the center line of this particular club versus this, and the center of gravity, the higher it went up, the less forgiving it became because the higher center of gravity gave you a more penetrating ball flight, and in some cases that was not what you wanted. Okay. The hosel length here was also something that figured into where that center of gravity would be at. There's also the width of the sole, where you see something like this versus something like that. A little different, right? And again, assumed that the wider the sole, the more forgiving it would be, so that you wouldn't get stuck. If you got stuck, your face could be open, closed, shut, or whatever, and that you couldn't make a very good strike. And these are all assumptions based on the predication that, one, the golfer can't get the golf club closed. It might go this. They had to have an assumption somewhere. Now, does that mean that it's more forgiving for you? Here's the fitting side of it. The answer to that is no. All right. So if you're a better player, right, and I mean a better player, let's say you're in the very, very low handicap range, single digits and in the low single digits, okay? And I give you this super duper whammy-dine, super forgiving, super class, super lots of offset, lots of blah, 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 and I give it to you, that means you ought to be playing at a zero handicap. Well, not even close, right? Pardon me, not even close, because now all of a sudden, it's again assumed at a lower handicap that you're able to control the face, you're able to get it square, you're able to work the ball, you're able to do all these things. And when I make all these things more forgiving, which means that more offset, more sole, longer blades, all these things can actually be counterproductive because you're already doing it. Now it's causing you to do more. You could hook it off the planet. You could lose it off. You could lose your workability. You could hit skull shots because you're used to taking that slight divot that you can't take anymore. All these different things can be that, and that's based on these assumptions. Okay. And so can you get, can that person do it? Yeah, that's adaptability. All right. So maybe 4 or 5 holes into it, they've got it figured out and they hit it. Well, yeah, pros can do that too. But what we're talking about is the average golfer gets out there a couple times a week, handicap slowly coming down. And what we're doing is you're matching those parameters that we just talked about to that particular golfer. Now, I've seen just the opposite of both sides of this. I've seen a beginning golfer that you would think would need all this stuff that actually hit a close to a bladed club very, very well because they had a lot of athletic capability. Then I've also seen guys that were low handicaps that did extraordinarily well with what I would say would be like mid version of all that, with a mid amount of offset, with a mid amount of length and a mid sole because of the way that they swung. It was just one of those things that they learned. Again, full of athletic capability. So, what am I saying to all this? Number one, if you're looking to go get a new golf club of some variety, because putters, wedges, hybrids, irons, fairway woods, drivers, they all have their specifications. They all have what they're made for. And you need to figure out between that, combining it with the shaft, with its length and its parameters, the other parameters like the lie angle, right? The loft angle, all those things come into play in order to get you the best stick that they can put underneath of you in order for you to play your best golf. So go get fit, have some fun, and have some fun, right? Have some fun with it, and have some serious fun with it. How about that one? Serious fun, and that's where we can go to. All righty. So, Veterans Day, last bit of Veterans Day, as you can see right here. I'm sporting the fin. Thank you, Callaway, again. Bones McGolf, who's this last appearance, he's sporting my whale hat for me. And go Navy, hoorah! All right, let's go answer some questions. Let's see what we got here. Matt, no rounds in this glorious weather, and it is, man. But I think we're going to see the end of it this weekend if everything is as it's being foretold. Kid sports question: How do you stay sharp within your game if you have no time to practice or practice? I don't know. What I tend to do when I'm really feeling out of it, and again, Bob would just laugh at me on this one because he knows I don't do it very often. But again, this way, I have my fitting area, and there's a couple of things that I do, and that Malaska has taught us about keeping the wrist to be able to do this. It's hard to do it when you're sitting down, but he's got a thing that you practice with your wrists in order to release at the bottom. And I'll chip, I don't know, 20 golf balls with one hand and maybe 10 with the back because this one's a little stronger for me in some cases. And then hit another 10 balls with both hands on it and then just walk away from it. Because all I'm looking for is a good contact. The rest of it will show up later. All right. And thank you for the Happy Veterans Day. Danny, what do you say, sir? Thanks for the advice concerning my essential trimmers. Well, you were more than welcome. Hopefully it worked out. Squeezing the putter grip has helped. Well, I suppose I should have read a little further. I've noticed that I can let up a little and still control the putter. Well done, sir. Well done. Now, what you might want to do going forward from that is when the strength of that particular right there, if you went to say something maybe a little bit larger, you wouldn't have to squeeze as hard to get the same result. That's just something to look forward further. All righty. Jim Robbins spent the last 4 days in David Jones. Okay, you are the man, sir. Phoenix with Eric. All right. Got to drive a NASCAR race car. Good for you. Good for you. I bet that was fun. Played a round of golf at the Phoenician. I guess I was going to say Phoenician Resort. Yep. 57 degrees that day. Man, 57 degrees in the Phoenix area. Holy smokes. That's pretty good. And the travel golf bag. Good. That thing's easy to roll around, right? So Mr. Jones bought a Sun Mountain bag, a travel bag, and they have those fold out legs. And I've got the tour model, and the thing is just humongous. You can carry a tent in this thing. And they have smaller ones, the Meridian, and there's a couple others. And they're slightly smaller, which I think for the infrequent traveler is a perfect little golf bag. It is super padded at the top, and then it's got this plastic gizmo at the bottom, and it has this. You pull down, you pull out, and the whole cart just tips, and it rolls around like that. And I'm here to tell you, it rolls smoother than any piece of luggage I've ever had, and it's just easy to pull. There's no strain on your shoulder. You don't have to carry it over anything. Nothing. It's a great bag. And if we're getting closer to Christmas, if you guys are looking for that, send them over to the Sun Mountain website and let them take a look. All right, Emmanuel, what do you say, sir? Oh, hello, Jim and Robin and the golf heads here. Well done, sir. 80 degrees. You go, man. And golf is great. Shot a 79, putting, getting putting. I'll get it right eventually. Whoo! Putting getting better with the new Golf Pride grip. 2 solid rounds. You do well, buddy. Thank you so much. Hi, Matt. Charlie has a putting mat and a chipping mat in his front room. I think that'd be good. And there's Charlie. Yep. All righty. Pat. There's Pat. Sim leagues have started. The Shank Shack, and since the back, knee, and shoulder are bad, why shouldn't I have dropped a tree on my foot? Oh my goodness gracious! Come on, dude. You got to heal up sometime. Although you won a club championship and did really well at a couple other outings, maybe you need to play hurt. Awesome, Charles. I get my work done at the local course that has 3 great putting greens, no bunkers though. All right. There you go. Charles has got it on the ball. Putting and chipping and to refine the feel for the shot. Yeah, I feel for you on that one, Ben. Okay. Which driver heads, double X, which driver heads have you been your best selling for the year? By far and away, these guys. The Rogue. So the Rogue has 4 clubs in it. It has the Rogue. They're called the Rogue ST Max. The Rogue ST Max D for driver or draw bias. The Rogue ST Max LS, and the Rogue ST Max Triple Diamond. And the Triple Diamond is the new addition because they never really, it was always available to a scant few. Now they've made it out there and available to more people. And no sliding weights, but the technology in there works really, really, really well. Now, from a surprise, that would be far and away the numbers. Now, we have sold some Mizuno driver heads, and I'm here to tell you that the upcoming one, the new Z and the new X, might be a force to be reckoned with. From just a picture, if they've taken out the little wave and they've put in this different vibration dampening, for lack of a better term, and it looks a little bit cleaner, looks a little smoother. And if they put all that other stuff back into it, it's a tremendous spin killer. Now, the upstart surprise, I will say, is the Wilson D9. Now, the Wilson D9 was not a world beater by any shape of imagination. However, if you had a slower swing speed, and I'm going to say 80 miles or below, this thing was a rocket ship. All right. It would beat a lot of drivers out there, a lot. And it just, for some reason, it worked better at lower speeds. Again, for me. And it worked out really, really, really well. So that's how they worked out for me. Now, coming out, we saw that right now in the we'll call it the pre-PGA show releases. We saw one that Callaway released one, and it's fantastically expensive. Super Tech. but it's made again for slower swing speeds. Guys that have slower swing speeds and they have disposable income. That's basically what they're shooting at, kind of a PXG kind of thing. We saw where we talked about the Mizunos coming out. I did get to see the Srixons. The Srixons are again looking a little cleaner, a little bit more fine tuned. I think we're going to be able to see a little bit more out of them this coming year, only because now I have the connectors. I mean, that's probably what's holding me back the last time. Wilson's got a new one coming out, right? It's an adjustable driver. It looks very, very cool. I hope it's a world beater. We'll see. But that's what we're seeing so far. Now we have seen Ping and their irons. I haven't seen too much in the way of the driver just yet. Hopefully to see that. We're seeing some rumblings now from Cobra. If you just saw it, that they made known that they have a hybrid set now. But I haven't seen much in the driver just as of yet. We saw Titleist has released theirs earlier, I think. And who's left? Oh, TaylorMade. And I haven't seen anything TaylorMade. That I'm going to guess that as we get closer to the new year, we'll see more of that. Matt Charles, I find the more I practice short game, the more my scores stay around par. Well, if that's all it took to practice that, Matt, and to stay around par, I'd be doing it all the time. All right. Not bad, huh? They did a really good job. I mean, I went and showed them pictures. The guys are very, very talented. I will say that. They also got my. See how I can do this here for you. I got that in there. Okay. Let's make that look good. There we go. All right. So, chipping Matt in your front room, Charles. He's wondering about that one. I would imagine that yeah. Pat, happy Veterans Day, and thank you all who signed on the line to give up, including their life. Some gave all. Semper Fi, hoorah! Although I'm not that guy, I have a ton of relatives that were, so I would agree. I will tell the. I will tell my mom's side of the family. They're all construction people, for the most part, and most of them all served as well. And as I was getting in there, I had just joined the Navy, and I was just getting put on the subs, and they were all Seabees, whether they were Navy or Marine Seabees. Back in the day, you could be either or. And they were all talking about when they found out I joined, they were giving me all their stories and stuff and how hard it was and da 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 da. And they were talking about the Marines were talking to the Navy guys about this, how they did that and they did that. Well, I walked into the hornet's nest and I said, well, you all suck because none of you have been on a submarine, and go Navy. Well, after the dog pile that ensued right after that, and I had 4 uncles on top of me, I had to give up. They let me know that was not the right answer. All right. There we go. Well, yeah, you don't want to chip them too far. Maybe those little what are those sponge balls, man? That'd be cool. Oh, hey, man. No worries. Taking care of the community is always important. Yeah, and we felt it too. I had to go to Austin, Texas, and I thought, oh, here we go. We just put Aaron down, and of course that's a shock to the system. Nobody wants to ever have. And then the very next morning, we're off and running to get on an airplane that got 3-hour canceled delay, and then we finally got there. Everything went smooth after that, and got back with no problems. And then we come back, and today is literally the first day of working without her or whatever. And the door where we do this, I normally have closed so she won't come in and make a lot of noise. Well, it's open now, so it's going to be a lot to get used to, that's for sure. Dave, what do you say, man? Sunny and 64. Now, to me, that's great golf weather, but good for you. I don't think we're going to get much more of this, man. I think Friday's probably much going to be the end of it. Matt, Charles, I come down is really all we miss. Green's confidence. I can chip it close. And he can. Dude, I watched that happen. Holy cow. All right, Emmanuel reshafted 2 Scotties this week, one with a new BXG 2P shaft. Oh, okay. Yep. A little complex, but managed to get through it, and the customer loves it. I really thought about that. So BGT, I guess the extra big. So anyway, if you guys watch the, I guess we'll do it right here. We did I did a review on the BGT ZNE wedge shaft, i.e. Breakthrough Golf Technology Zone wedge shaft. And they come in 3 categories, a 90, a 115, and a 130. Yep, 130. And they're each made a little bit different for their weight capabilities. The idea was hit it higher, spin it more, be more consistent, all that stuff. And that's what the the marketing is about. So I did test. That's in there. If you go back, that's the last one that we did. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. There's some interesting information on there. Did it do what it said it did? Yes. Did it do it all the time? No. And it's really kind of interesting what happens. Is it a good shaft? Yeah, it's a great little shaft. But I would certainly, if somebody had it in a club, I'd definitely give it a try. Anyway, as we're right here, if you would like, subscribe, hit the like button, let us know what you think. Things that we can cover going forward for that, and we'll put that out and do more topics. Before we move on from Emmanuel doing 2 Scotties, nicely done too, sir. Is that we signed up for the PGA show, so it is official. We are going. Accra has a demo day on Monday, so we'll be down there certainly before that. It'll be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday is up in the air, and we are driving this time. And and we're driving because the last 2 times we were on airplanes, we had these delays. And although it still would be longer, I guess I'm just getting gnarly in my old age. The inconvenience of sitting around for 4 hours just drives me up a wall. And I can see it now. Well, you're going to sit in a truck for a long time. Yeah, I am, but I'm moving at least. So, and I get to pack more of my stuff. So that'll be a lot of fun, I believe. All righty. Danny, sorry for your losses. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Mr. Polsky, how are you? And thank you again. Thank you for that, sir. Charlie, sorry for your losses. Jim and Robin, it's tough losing family. It is. And what your dog definitely are. Sorry, lost your uncle and fellow veteran. Thank you, sir, very much. Yes, in all our minds, she got to 14 years old, and she was having a spell of it. I think it was although it's head versus heart, but I think it was the right thing to do. And and we've buried her next to Nick, so they can keep each other company. Okay. If I intend to come down and use that gift certificate, I forgot I had it till yesterday. All right, buddy. Well, come on down. We'll figure out something to do. Sorry, Dave. I appreciate it, Dave. Passive Prime. Thank you, sir. Emmanuel, thank you as well. And okay, World War II, went through the tunnels on a tour when I was stationed there. I was also at Fuji. Yeah, I'm telling you. I tell you what, one of the things he really liked was I knew he wasn't going to stand forever, but he was really cool about that. And when they went to put him to rest, we had 2 Marines there. They played taps for him. It was very well done, I have to say. Very, very well done. Russ Hutchins. Hello, friends. Hello, you, buddy. Appreciate it. My dog Rex. Hey, thumbs up, people. Thumbs up. Appreciate that, sir. Steve Polsky picked up the Akai Series 125s and three. Oh, they're chrome plated, real or fake? Ain't they only? No, they're not. So what you got? The chrome plated ones are the newer ones. I have some of the eco satin finished ones here. The eco ones were exactly what they were for. The eco friendly, lots of paint to get where because it's all water based instead of the chemical based, and they went away from that. And the more chromed ones are the newer ones. So well done, newer ones. Well done. There's Robin following up on it. Travis K, watching in Jersey. Thank you, sir. Do you think prices are getting out of control? When will the common golfer get priced out? Yes. There's the two most common gripes about golf. Well, three most common gripes about golf. Number one, it's too hard. All right. Number one, it's too hard. Number two, it takes too long. And number three, it costs too much. The too hard, that one can be argued. I think that's just a frame of mind. Taking too long can also be attached to how being too hard. If you're taking more swarps at it than, say, your buddy, then you're taking longer to get around. Now, does it take a long time? Yeah, I've been in places where it's been 5-6 hour rounds. Is that ridiculous? Very much so. But when you go to golf, I mean, you got to allot a good 4 hours to get around places. And if it's 3.5 wins, it's a win. If it's 4.5, you're still within the framework. I got spoiled this year being able to play at Crown Hill and taking Dad with me, and we could get done in 2 hours and 45 minutes. But it was just me, and I was in front, and there wasn't anybody in front of me. So get up, line, hit, get up, line, hit, get up, line, hit, get up, line, hit. You can make it around the golf course very, very much like that. But back to pricing. Well, there are some, like anything else, there's some things that are very much worth it and some things that are not. Just like buying a car. I always drive it to buying a car. There's a gazillion different cars out there, but certain cars, like me getting in a Mini, that's just not happening, right? I'm more of a truck guy or a larger car guy. There are some people that have to have electric. Some people, which is the newest, brandiest, shiniest bauble out there. Some people got to have the hot rod, and as long as there's those different attitudes out there, same thing in golf, right? We got to have those different combinations and different things. Uh, I think personally, that this discussion always comes up when we see the likes of a really expensive driver pop up, and yet people buy it. Now, again, it's not geared towards everybody, but they'll buy it. Now, I remember when people were freaking out at a $400 driver, and they started screaming bloody murder at a $500 driver, and now it's become a norm. Is it? Some of these things you got to pay for. Some, the difference here is how much is distance worth to you? How much is control worth to you? And each one of us has a different plateau of what that means, right? For instance, if a Callaway club runs at 550 or even more with an exotic shaft in it, and you save $200, maybe even more by putting a Wilson in there, or $100 by putting a Mizuno in there, or $50 or whatever that might be, but you lose 5 yards. Is it worth it? And that's that's a question that I just can't answer. That's a question for the golfer to answer. But I think that we've gotten to a point we're at a plateau. We'll have to see what happens. And we're talking about conditions around the world too. So I don't see us going up in price too radically. I mean, the Big Bertha or whatever we're calling those things, Great Big Berthas, that's got a target audience, and it's not for everybody. So we'll see what comes out. We'll know whether or not they think that they can go higher or not. Danny just lost a wonderful companion of 13 years a few months ago, and it hurts. Well, our condolences goes out to you too, Danny, and it's enough to say that we understand. Love the look of the Turas in all black. My buddy calls my black Mizunas the all black shafts. Murder Zunos. Let's glare for sure. Yeah, I mean, there is something cool about that. I mean, it really is. When you can make them all like that, I do think that there's something there. I would like to see personally. I just like a hair of contrast. Uh, Although I think it would be cool to murder out the numbers as a just, hey, look at my set. But from a functionality standpoint, I think I would make them white or some kind of crazy, bright color just on the number only and leave it all the rest of it blacked out. Just so I could, from a functionality, just, oh, there's my 9 and pull it out. Pooey, look at here. It's been a while. First time in a while. Yeah, there you go. Sorry about your loss. Had a reevaluation with my driver shaft. Had a Kurokage 60s in my sim tipped. Sim 2 tipped an inch. The results are wow. Good for you. Good for you. We were seeing a lot of when I did my time with the tour vans this year. I got to get on there, and that seemed to be a common theme that for a lot of those guys that if you took the X Flex and tipped it about an inch, man, it was right where everybody liked it to be. So that was a common thing. Come down for the anniversary. There you go, buddy. Brought the flight down and the spin down. Yeah, I would expect that. Very well done. I'm glad it's moving out. You're already throwing it out there. You're throwing it way out into the yard anyway. So I'm glad it worked out. Gonna do it in December. I'm good with that. Uh, so when you tip a shaft, you're taking a little bit of the tip section out, and the job of the tip section is this. Now, it's also with the rest of the shaft is doing that, and it's a flex. So what you've done is you've really taken out a little bit of this. All right, you've taken a little bit of torque out. And when you do that, so the one of the I don't have a shaft. So if you tip it, let's just say this is it. And if you're like this and you tip it, and now all of a sudden it does like this. So the theory is, particularly in Pewey's spot, is that he hits the ball pretty far. So if you had all that tip, that you could potentially come into it just ever so slightly open face. Now we're not talking degrees like this. We're talking about driver. We're talking moving things like that. Okay. And so instead of coming into it like that, you would come into it like that. Just totally opposite of the way most people would think. And when you come into it like that, your club head is more the way that is designed to be, i.e., whatever loft that would be. And because it's coming in at a shallower loft, the spin comes down. So it's a function of both. So very good. All right, Brendan, is there such a thing, Jim? You might need your long irons flatter than I can't seem to get on with my ZX5s compared to my 7s. Well, it also could be that the 5s might be a little more upright as well. Right? It could be that. The other one is that the 5s have a wider sole. So if you're getting stuck, that's another thing to consider. Yes, I know they got the V sole. Showed you the wrong one. They got the V sole in them, but they're also wider, so that could be something else. Now, if you're also getting into closer towards the heel from the center, then for certain, right? For certain. Now, I wouldn't go too crazy with these things. I'd flatten them a degree and go out and do it. You very well may find that that's where you want to be. And if you're coming in, if your swing is a little bit flatter, in order to keep, particularly where you're playing at, Brendan, you want to keep the ball down. Most people would tend to pick up a flatter swing plane And when that happens, yeah, you do need some flatter lie angles. Yeah, isn't that something else? And the rough edges too. The square grooves typically came with knife edges on the side too. There was very little chamfering on the edges of it. There you go. Sorry for your loss. Golf season came to an end at my home club in Duluth yesterday. Sad day. Going to try and do some real swing work on a local simulator. Well, excellent. Very good. I like to hear that. That's what I'd like to do to get ready for the I've always said, I do it every year. Oh, I'm going to hit 20 golf balls. I'm going to hit 50 golf balls, 75 golf balls. So when I get ready to go down to Florida, I can hang with all those youngins that I tend to play with. And, and it works for about 4 days. It's just like being on a diet. It's like 4 days. Oh, done. So maybe I can have a little more discipline in my life here. All right. Missed a few being out of the state hunting. Well, good for you, buddy. Hopefully it was successful. How was what was it? You had something going on too, right? Was it a shoulder or a knee? Hopefully that took care of itself. I also see that the golf trip back over there is still on, but we're losing folks. I'm not going to be able to make it, but it's going to be fun. Sorry about your loss. Thank you, bud. Appreciate that. Oh, Lou Stagner. Hey, there's a new name. Welcome, Lou. Is the Evolution 2 digital putter bending gauge still a good option? Evolution 2. Oh, the Mitchell. Took me a while. Yeah. Yeah, the putter, the digital part is the readout, and as long as you can calibrate it or you can tell when it's out, that's fine. The Evolution, yeah, that's a fine one. So the weakness in just about every single putting machine is the two ball, all right? Is the two ball or ones that are like two balls. And what it is that clamping mechanism, if you have your putter, right? This is your putter, and what it does is that putter butts up against some sort of stop, and then you press down, you either come from the back and push it and squeeze it against that stop, and that was the first part of it. And you would go to bend loft into it and it would pop out. So now what they did is they got these little bitty arms or teeth or whatever you want to call them, and they swing out from the stop, and you screw them down and try and hold them down. Those work about, I'm going to go with 50-50. All right. Now I've got the golf mechanics unit of the very same thing, and it's got a longer tooth or a longer fang, and there's two of them that sit down there, and it's very substantial, and it still does not hold that down. You have to go almost the way back. So back in the day when they didn't even have it, what we used to use was a C clamp, and it was a big one, a big C clamp, and you would slide it on there into the back, and you would adjust it down, and you would hold it, work like a champ. How you can put that on a machine, that's somebody else to figure out. But yeah, I'd say it's a good one. All right. Oh, come on now. Come on now. Yeah, but you still owe it to the Navy, bud. But thank you for your service. Uh-oh, Alan Wilson, here we go. Hey, Navy man, what's the best way to get rid of older golf clubs? I have 5 or 6 sets of old golf clubs I don't need anymore, but just don't want to throw them away. Happy Veterans Day. Well, there's a couple of ways to doing it. Number one, uh, you can donate them to your local high school for people that don't have the cash or are less privileged in order to be able to play. We've done that a few times around here. Another one is if you have a local Facebook, they got the little yard sales on Facebook, but you have to deal with selling them. And another one that you may enjoy, and I've got a box still set up ready to go, but the military, you have to it's not real easy to find, but the military, you can send them sets of golf clubs and they will send them across the pond or to different areas for the military people to use them as free rentals, I guess, or I've seen them where they go across into the sandbox and they'll hit them off of those little bitty mats and they'll just destroy them and they're awesome. And those are probably the best ways to do it. Or you can go right down to your local golf course and if they got kids running around, do that. All right. How do you keep your golf pair business going in the winter months? CJ. Well, there's a new one. Welcome on board, bud. So in the last couple of years, it's not been a bit of an issue because much like those Tura irons are not from my area. Uh, we have been absolutely blessed in the idea that people from Florida, uh, Canada, California, Maryland, and basically all over the map have sent us stuff to fix, build, rebuild, those kinds of things. And what's happened also is not just the club repair, but we're also club fitters here. And in the last 2 years, we have fit all the way through the entire season. Now, again, I think that had something to do with COVID, but now we're seeing a decline in the economy. And what we're seeing now is it's leveling off, right? It's getting back to the norm. And around here in Ohio, in October, typically it just crashes and burns. The business, the amount of work does because everybody wants to go deer hunting. This is a huge deer hunting area. Well, this October has been absolutely jammed, and we've done very, very well. And November is actually starting to stack up as well. So we have been very, very fortunate that some people are traveling to do this very thing with us. A lot of West Virginians, Ohio, some Indiana now, some Kentucky. We're drawing from a state. Now, that sounds like a big thing, and I would say that it is as well, but we're about 20 miles from the border from Kentucky. Now, you got to get into it. So, we're fortunate enough to draw 4, 5, 6 hours away. In a normal place, that normally does not happen, but we're very rural, and so it's happening for us. But that's how we do it, and we keep busy with that. We keep busy with testing because all that new stuff comes out. So we use it as a downtime to refresh our stock and get the testing done, so we know how to fit going forward. But in the last couple of years, it's just been very busy, and we've turned it over, and we just keep going. Look at that. There's we go. Charlie's in the same book with me. There's the marketplace. That was the one. I couldn't remember what we wanted to call it. That was the thing. There's Mr. Peter. How are you, sir? Hope everything is fine. Oh, and for all you guys that are down in Florida in that neck of the woods, hey, I saw the weather and that storm coming your way. Guys, be safe. I don't even know if you had enough time to recover from the last storm. So, I mean, if you guys could get out of the way, I mean, I agree. Get out of the way of the thing. All righty. Steve Tierney, how you doing, buddy? Why don't Titleist Vokey have C grind in the line? That would be probably Mr. Vokey's opinion not to have it. Now, what we would might call a C grind, say from a Callaway point of view, may not be a C grind to Vokey as well. Those two are the top in the business, to be sure. And I'm sure that they don't want to step on each other's toes with those types of, because you see a lot of F and M and all those other ones where you see a lot of S's. Everybody has an S, but C's and W's and X's, so they don't trample over either ones either. Mr. Jack, how are you, sir? There he goes. I've been keeping an eye on the Autoflex thread on the MGS. Off and on. I haven't really been. I that one that's at what the wannabe Autoflex. What do you think of the guys finding a good fit with a decent, getting decent numbers out of two shaft flexes lower than they normally game? That was actually the mode of that particular shaft. The way that the Autoflex came out, right? The way that it came out was it wasn't about flex. It was more so much as how you were. They were really focusing on how you loaded the club. How you load the club. They were ignoring a lot of other things and how you load the club. So we'll call it traditional because this is not a traditional golf shaft. That more times than not, that they will be more flexible or a lower flex than what we would traditionally see. It's very rare that it goes the other way. At least that's what I've seen. And you can go look at it. The biggest case in point to that is Rick Shields did it, right? He went and bought one, and he bought it. He just saw the X and put an X in there, and he didn't hit it any better, any worse than any of the other golf shafts that he'd ever tested. Which, when you're talking about the price tag, that should say something. I would bet real money that if he went and talked to those people and got whatever he needed, that it would probably do a little bit better. The amount of money better, I don't know, but that's what I've seen in the past. All righty, here we go. Oh, we saw that one. Hello, Billy. Just remind them, Jim. Department of Navy. Yeah, that's true. That is a fact. I think we're talking about BGTs. I don't know what model they're called. Sorry about the loss. Lost my baby named Perry about a year ago. He was 14 with a heart murmur. Yeah. Well, sorry for yours too, there, Peter. I believe the club manufacturer getting smarter, releasing their new clubs before Christmas rather than after. Well, in some cases, Peter, they are. Mizuno did, obviously. They did that, and who else? I think Titleist did some. But what we're seeing is we're seeing releases, but we're not seeing any product. Most of these releases that we're seeing won't be come to fruition until January. The only thing that should be showing up, and may get Mrs. McGolf to call our rep, is that those custom putters from Wilson, they've been released. In fact, I got a release date for them right here. See, look at my official paper. The staff model putters are they product launched in November. The new golf balls are in February, and the irons in the woods are in March. Now they normally release late. That's their MO, so that everybody else had theirs and they get into it after that. Normally it's the January February time frame for like the Callaways, January February time frame for the new Strixon stuff, uh, and we'll hear about what Ping's doing and the other stuff. I think Ping's releasing some stuff early too, so good for them. Joey Manning, howdy from Georgia. It's been a while since I've been home to watch live. Well, good. Thank you for watching. My hip was acting up. That's what it was. And it helped walking many miles a day. Hunting was good. Great time. Hunting grouse. Shot a few. My dogs had some fun. Good. It's become more consistent shot shape, smaller misses for me, less ballooning on the links. Oh, and windy conditions, and it's brought my handicap down. Nicely done, dude. Nicely done. That's well done. I hit a lot of balls off of mats on pallets in Iraq. There you go. I also hit some from one of Sano days into the moat. Good. That For all that you had to go through to be able to do that, I wouldn't want to do that. But I think that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool indeed. Good job, man. We'd have to go figure out what that number is. I'll let Robin deal with that one. Haha, I see I bumped out of that. Alrighty. Just walked in trying to get the pounds down before next March, before I can get the captain's jacket. Hope all is well. I'll have to catch and replay. Any left-handed old set? Not yet. Not yet. Problem is, my 200-yard club want to try Callaway U Wood 21. Got a friend who works for Callaway, and they can't get a hold of them anymore. Really? The U Wood? I'll have to take a look. I think we got one in demo. You might be able to. So the one thing you might look at is the Callaway pre-owned. All right, go to Callaway pre-owned. You very well may find one right there. Uh, I would. You'd have to ask the reps. They probably would. I mean, if you special ordered it, they'd be probably more than happy to make it for you. I can do with a second set of irons for the holidays. I have a trailer in sunny southeast of Ireland, and can do with a summer set. Even heads. I have shafts. Don't mind paying for them. Okay, we'll have to see, man. Sunny V. He's how close are you guys to being done up there? Probably last round of the year. Unseasonably warm in the 70s past weekend. Hoping to head to the PGA show this year. Well, if you do, man, give me a call. We'll sit down. My air compressor took off. Hopefully you guys can't hear that. Mark Wright. Ooh, I like the logo you got going on there. That's pretty cool. I have tip weights from GolfWorks. When I dry fit, the tip weights stick out about 1/16 of an inch. Seems like the tip of the shaft will not seat at the bottom. Okay. Well, they have to stick out because they got that lip on them, right? And it is very small, about that 1/16 of an inch ish, right? And if you are using them on taper tipped clubs, you're basically pushing the club up that 1/16 of an inch. Okay, that 1/16 of an inch. If you're wanting to be very, very exact about it, there's a couple of things you can do. Number one, you can trim off that 1/16 of an inch. It's a pain in the butt, but you can do it and then put it in, and it'll probably seat better. The other part is that sometimes that shoulder, we'll call it, is much bigger than the exterior of the shaft. You need to sand it down so that it's in line with the shaft, and then pop it in there, and that normally takes care of that. All right, that would normally take care of that. And then the last bit is if you're using club or irons that have shoulders in them where you have to use collared ferrules, you should be fine. So give them a good wrap so they seat in the bottom. Hey, Duke K, sorry for your loss. Thank you. Thank you for the service. You are welcome. Just got home from golf, played the last hole in the dark. You are the man. Made a birdie. Yeah, this whole uh, daylight savings time, I'm going to be able to turn back around and have the windows behind me again because it's pitch damn black out there right now. Pitch black. Had to go back and listen on the beginning. Sorry I missed for your losses. Hey, Joey, no problem, buddy. Appreciate it. Nothing on your pre-owned eBay prices are almost the same as new. Oh, that sucks. Well, if we find ourselves in the way of some left-handed heads, we'll keep you in the thoughts and send you an email. Yeah, so that's what we're talking about is you can either sand it down, make sure that that shoulder is sanded down so it's the same outer diameter as the shaft, and normally you can, tap it down in there with when you go to epoxy, and it should be okay. Hey, look at that. Danny's going to send us some work. Very good. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Jay Miller, are you guys still doing indoor and outdoor fittings, or is it all on simulator? Uh, it is. It's indoor fittings. I do have a overhead projector so you can see what you're doing, but yeah, it's the same as our indoor outdoor stuff. I've just moved it to indoor, and based on what I'm hearing and seeing, that's probably going to be a pretty good thing this winter. And that's the whole reason why I did it. Not necessarily for the summer, but for the winter. The winter here, I did a fitting and it was 29 degrees outside, and it literally froze my launch monitor. And I said, that's never going to happen again. Well, as it turns out, during the summertime, you got the air conditioning going. It's not too bad in here either. So not bad. Now, to do with that, I know some guys get freaked out inside. Uh, and it's they're 1 in 100, maybe 1 in 1,000, but it's really more about what you're hitting off of. And we use probably one of the best that's in the industry. So that's what we do. All right. Well, the actual ball flight you can see because when the flight scope hits it, it takes it and it gives you the shot shape, whether you're curving it or that kind of stuff. Uh, so there you go. But yeah, you can see it like that. I mean, I've got two sets of input that you can look at both ways. All righty. Well, if we get some right-handed stuff, then we'll let you know. Ray Farrell, have you had a chance to check out the new T-Rail irons? No, I have not. I would really like to get those guys to cooperate. I've tried sending them emails and stuff. I just can't get them to respond. I mean, that's just what it is. All right. Well, guys, we made it to the end and we went 5 minutes over, 6 minutes over. That's awesome. Okay, so as a reminder, again, like and subscribe if you would. Hit that bell down there. You get more of the notifications that are going on. Later in the week, there will be another video that comes out. And if you would, if you haven't already, go back and check out the one on the wedge shaft. It was actually a pretty good little video. And we'll go from there. We got two more. Let's see what happened here. All right, Joey said something. Joey's talking about. I appreciate it, Joey. Thank you very much. All righty. So anyway, like and subscribe if you would. Watch the videos. One's coming out at the end. Again, if you have any questions, put them in the show notes. And guys, I appreciate it. Thank you for all the heartfelt comments. And as always, let's see your scores go low.